Hello, my name's Scott Davis, and welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for March 1st to March 7th of 2015. And on March 1st, we have the sun. You can see it denoted right here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Pisces. It's in the 37th hexagram. And we can see the chop mark for the 37th hexagram on the outside of the wheel, numbered from bottom to top. The 37 goes yang, yin, yang, yin, yang, yang. And then the 37th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here is the 37th gate of friendship, the family, the manifestation, macro and microcosmologically, of the organic nature of communities, located in the solar plexus center in a tribal energy path in the ego circuit called the channel of community, a design of a part seeking a whole that connects to the 40th gate of aloneness, deliverance, the point of transition between struggle and liberation. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we've got the following activated gates on March 1st. We have the sun in the 37th gate. The earth is in the 40th gate. The north node is in the 48th gate, with the south node in the 21st gate. Mercury is in the 13th gate, with Venus in the 21st gate, Mars in the 17, excuse me, Jupiter is retrograde in the 7, Saturn is in the 34, Uranus is in the 21 as well, and then we've got Neptune in the 37 with the Sun, and Pluto in the 38. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information is going to be very helpful if you know your human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com and click on the button that says Get Your Free Rave Chart, and then enter in your birth information. So the neutrino forecast is basically just a weather report, and no matter what the weather, an individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And we begin the week with one channel definition due to the transit field. With the Sun-Earth axis in the 3740, we have the channel of community until March 2nd. This definition brings the energy where people will wonder where they belong in the scheme of things and then try to live that out. It's a time of thinking about marriage and family as the foundation of community. Fairness is more important under the influence of the channel of community. Balance becomes important in all aspects of life. People will explore how they fit into their community, and on a mystical level, where they fit into the universe and what their true purpose is. This impacts people as they think they need to be supportive of those beings around them and get pulled into things related to the community. With the defined ego center, people without a defined heart center may feel as if they have something to prove and make promises or commitments that maybe are not correct for them. And the defined solar plexus, for those who do not have the emotional definition, this channel can bring the unfamiliar wave of emotions and perhaps lead to acting confrontational, which may not be correct for that person. We're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. March 1st, we have the sun in the 5th line, the heretical line of the 37. The sun in the 37.5 is described as love, natural and unaffected devotion to family, exalted natural harmony and perfect timing, natural harmony and sharing possible through friendship, detrimented emotional dependency that often turns love into hatred, the possibility of dependence turning love into hate. Fifth line days are about projection. The projection is positive, then negative. So it's a day where there might be suspicion or universalization, where something spreads like a virus, and whether it's a YouTube video or Facebook post or something like that, that gets millions of viewings. There's a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on a fifth line day, which impacts the nature of relationships. But as I said before, projection is a key element to the fifth line, and the projection is usually, it starts with they'd be great at it. They're the perfect person for it. That, very positive. And then if the person doesn't do it, can't do it for whatever reason, they don't meet the expectation, then they're punished. So as I said before, it's only really paranoia if they're not out to get you, and often with the projection field they are. Seduction is also a theme of a fifth line day. And then later on the first, the sun moves into the sixth line, the role model line of the 37. This shift happens at 3:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 37.6 is purpose. The energy to maintain the family is enhanced by recognizing its values, exalted. The gift of not only recognizing the inner meaning of the family, but an appreciation for its values. The possibility of extending friendship through the appreciation of its values. Detriment and a need for diversity that may ignore the achievements of the family in favor of withdrawal. The need for diversity that, despite appreciation, will prefer casual friendships. Six line days, we're on the roof of the hexagram, like being on the roof of a house or the roof of a building. We don't tend to be looking at the building so much as what else is going on around it, what's happening in the neighborhood, what's coming next. And that's what the six line energy is about. It's looking beyond. Ra talked about that, not to get stuck with your head in the clouds, because you'll end up with something banging into your kneecaps or shins during a six line day. This is a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around us, because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. Like third line days, certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, perhaps not seeing a bill coming. And then on the second, the sun moves from the 37, leaving Neptune, and into the 63, and the Earth moves out of the 40, and into the 64. So, and the Earth in the 64th hexagram, this is the gate of confusion before completion. Transition, like birth, requires a determined strength for passage through. This shift happens at 2:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the sun in the 63rd gate of doubt after completion. In the spiral of life, all endings are beginnings. The sun is exalted in the first line of the 63, which is composure, exalted, the quality of personality where achievement is accepted with equanimity, and where continued development is allowed to take its natural course. Acceptance of achievement, but doubt whether continued development will take place. And we're in a new hexagram. So when we're down in the lower trigram, first, second, third lines, the focus is more inward. People are more absorbed in their own process. The theme of the first line day isn't a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. And with the shift away from the channel of community, we're likely to see in the news as the power of community and support breaks up. With the sun in the 63 and the earth in the 64, it's replaced with doubt and confusion. In the head center, this is a pressure or inspiration. Doubt and confusion can be very powerful in moving us towards trying to make sense out of the experience or finding solutions by looking at patterns. The pressure in the form of doubt and confusion is likely to be played out on the world stage. And the purpose of this information is not for your personal life, but to allow you to see how the program affects the world. Because in your life, you're here to live out the uniqueness of being yourself through following your strategy and honoring your authority. And then on the third, the sun then moves into the second line. So it leaves the line of the investigator and moves into the line of the hermit. Again, 63rd hexagram and gate. The shift happening at 12:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just 33 minutes after midnight Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 63-2 is structuring, exalted, the establishing of a larger framework through which achievement can be expanded and shared, compensating others for their contributions while maintaining control of direction. The pressure to share one's doubts with others while still maintaining control. Detrimented instability in achievement that, when in positions of authority, leads to arrogance and the desire to keep others away from the center of power. Doubts in achievement that can lead to suspicion of others. Second line days in the hermit line, folks are waiting to be called. Called because of their natural talents. It's a day when, again, people are stuck in their own trip. It's not a great day to have a large social event because folks would rather stay home under the influence of the hermit. Then later on the third, the sun then moves into the third line, into the martyr line of the 63. This shift happens at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 1 hour before midnight on the third. The sun in the 63-3 is continuance, exalted, the dedication to the new beginning that insists on maintaining its achieved principles despite having to interact with those who who have not attained such a state. Doubts that can maintain one's principles when interacting with others. Detrimented success at any price. The pressure to eliminate the doubt at any cost. Third line days, the line of the martyr. This is about a trial and error process and bonds made and broken. System of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Things bump into you, so you want to be careful on the roads, be careful of swinging doors, swinging elbows. You might have bonds made and broken. The trial and error process. So it's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane. But you got to be careful because things can go wrong. But those things can lead to discovery. And then on the fourth, the sun then moves into the fourth line. So the opportunist line of the 63. The shift happening at 9:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where the sun in the 63-4 is described as memory, exalted, the detailed accounting of achievement process, whose information base can prepare a new order for the future. The pressure to explore the doubt in detail as a foundation for eventual formalizing. Detriment, a willingness to forget in the glory of victory, with a possible price to be paid later. The pressure and risk to forget the details when doubts have been answered. And fourth line days, we've moved out of the lower trigram into the upper trigram in the opportunist line. These are great days for social interaction. People are more open to networking, being friendly and social, with the themes of friendship, companionship, and networking. Also, on the 4th, Mercury moves from the 13, and down to the 49. And also, we've got Venus moves out of the 21st gate, leaving Uranus and the South Node there, and it moves into the 51st gate. And then we've got Mars moving out of the 17th gate and into the 51st gate. A lot of planetary shifts on the 4th. So let's talk about Mercury first. Mercury was the messenger of the gods in mythology. So this is about communication, expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music. And what do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 49? The fear of nature or the fear of God, because this is a fear gate coming out of the solar plexus. The 49 is revolution, and the gate of principles, ideally the transformation of forms based on the highest principles and not simply for power. People will be probably communicating about the redistribution of resources to support their tribes. Mercury in the first line of the 49 is the law of necessity. Revolution has no support unless it is perceived as necessary. Exalted, the understanding and application of this law to maximize the expansion of support and thereby viability. The awareness that the potential of a principle is based on being acceptable as viable. Detrimented, the misuse of influence to insist that necessity can be created out of actions. The helter-skelter syndrome, to commit acts of disorder as proof that disorder exists. Oversensitivity to rejection that can turn a principle into a crusade. Also on the 4th, Venus moves from the 21 to the 51. In human design, Venus is very powerful, though and deeply misunderstood, according to Ra. It brings morality, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you at a moral level. Your design and personality Venuses tell us about the moral dilemma that you will work with in your life, and that if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. And Venus is in the 51st gate of shock, the arousing, the ability to respond to disorder and shock through recognition and adaptation. Venus is detrimented in the first line of the 51 and described as reference, the advantage of previous crisis experience. Detrimented, a tendency to emotional withdrawal after a shock, the weakness of the ego in times of challenge. And then we've also got Mars leaving the 17th gate and moving into the 21st gate with this Uranus in the South Node. And Mars is in the gate of the hunter and huntress, biting through, the justification and necessary use of power in overcoming deliberate and persistent interference. And Mars is exalted in the first line of the 21, which is warning the use of force as a last resort, exalted fierceness, to be respected without recourse to action, the power and ego to ensure respect. Ra talked about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype in mythology, and by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. And we've had a great deal of emphasis on the 21st gate over the past few months with the South Node and Uranus in the gate of control. And with Venus and Mars transiting the 21, it may seem more personal. With Mars, we may see in control played out in the homogenized world through aggression and outbursts. And then on the 5th, the sun then moves into the 5th line. We're back to the line of the heretic. This time in the 63rd hexagram, and the shift happening at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun is exalted in the 63.5 and described as affirmation, exalted the authority and sincerity of purpose to ensure the same values in the new beginning that had allowed it to transcend the old. The understanding that doubts are necessary and of value. And 5th line days, as we talked about before, this is about projection in the line of the heretic, being positive and then negative. And that when the projection turns negative, there's the punishment. So again, this has this quality of universalization, paranoia, seduction, projection, suspicion are all thematics of a 5th line day. On the 6th, the sun then moves into the 6th line, so we're back on the roof of the hexagram, back in the role model line. This time in the for the 63rd gate. And the shift happening at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 63.6 is nostalgia, exalted the good sense to avoid turning the previous struggle into an obsession, the logic of leaving old doubts behind, detrimented revolutionary nostalgia. Logic and the potential obsession with old suspicions and doubt. And 6 line days, again, we talked about being on the roof of the hexagram, looking beyond, looking at what's coming next, and so maybe not being aware of what's happening in the immediate environment. And then on the 7th, the sun moves from the 63rd gate and into the 22nd, with the Earth moving from the 64 to the 47. And the 47th hexagram, this is the gate of realizing oppression, a restrictive and adverse state as a result of internal weakness or external strength, or both. This shift happens at 4:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the sun in the 22nd gate of openness, grace, a quality of behavior best suited for handling mundane and trivial situations. The sun in the first line of the 22 is the second-class ticket. Exalted the ability to accept and enjoy a subordinate position, the emotional awareness to enjoy a subordinate position. Detrimented the inevitable humiliation that comes with claiming a first-class seat with a second-class ticket, where the emotional energy challenges the awareness and can result in a humiliation socially. Again, we're in a new hexagram, and lower trigram is much more personal, more inwardly focused. So people are more focused on their own process, with the investigative line themes of a fear or anxiety that needs to be researched. And then also on the 7th, Pluto moves from the 38 to the 54. And it's been in the 38 for quite a while. So this movement to the 54 is a big change. So Pluto's in the gate of ambition, the Marian maiden, interaction at its mundane social in its mundane social context, but also one's mystical and cosmic relationships. Pluto is exalted in the first line of the 54, which is influence, exalted, the ability to achieve through secret relationships, anywhere from the private sector to the Satanist. Ambition energized through secret relationships, which fuel influence. And Ross spoke about Pluto being truth, personal, subjective truth, what we need to know as truth in our lives. Pluto points to the themes of truth, how the whole operates, move. Move the sum of the parts, and there is no way that we can control. This is awakeness to experience the whole. Does the whole live correctly or not? And Pluto will retrograde back into the 38 at the end of May, so it will be in the 54 for 2 months, most of March and all of April, and 3 months actually, and then it's really the last few days of May it goes back into the 38. But let's talk about the shift of the sun into the 22nd and the Earth in the 47. This means that we've wrapped up the program's focus on the themes of doubt and confusion as we move into grace and oppression. Oppression tries to make sense of confusion. The 22nd is individual and acoustic. It's about hearing and being open to the potential of mutation or not, because it can also be deaf. We can watch the movie as folks with the 12th gate might be speaking romantically about making your life better. Of course, we don't have to get caught up in the program. We can avoid that simply by following your strategy and authority. So no matter what the energies are that are conditioning you during the week, just remember this experience is about being a passenger, riding in a vehicle, being driven by the magnetic monopole. Enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us, and we're all here giving the performance of a lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on March 8th of 2015. It should be available on the 7th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube. There's New World Birth presences in all those places. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or as texts as widely as you choose. I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. If you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. Anyway, gratitude. Thanks again to everybody for your support in watching these videos, and I look forward to connecting with you either in the future through a reading or in a video, or feel free to email me if you have a question. Anyway, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week.